Midnight. Rain slicks the empty streets of rural Japan. Neon kanji flickers across the windshield. The engine hums, a quiet threat. You're alone, hands clenched around a worn leather wheel, chasing ghosts on a mountain pass. Not for fame, not for glory, but for something deeper, something broken. JDM. Japanese Drift Master promises that feeling. The spirit of Initial D, reborn in a stylized open world where drifting is more than a mechanic. It's a language, a rite of passage, a manga-styled tale of redemption, speed, and legacy. And for a moment, it feels like you're stepping into that dream, a digital homage to the gods of sideways motion. But what happens when that dream starts to fall apart at the seams? This isn't just a review. It's a descent into a world that feels half alive. Beautiful but empty, heartfelt but confused. A game that tempts you with style, then tests your patience with silence. And beneath it all, a young racer mourning. His father, exiled from Europe, finding identity in burning rubber and fading memories. Stay with me, because this story isn't about winning the race. It's about why we drift when the road ahead disappears. At first glance, JDM, Japanese Drift Master, looks like the real deal. The kind of game that makes you pause mid-scroll and whisper, "Wait, what is that?" Sweeping sakura trees, misty mountains, tight urban alleys, this open-world take on Japan is nothing short of atmospheric. It's like someone dropped a tuner magazine into a Studio Ghibli backdrop, then set it all to a Eurobeat soundtrack. The visual promise is strong, but once you slide into the driver's seat, the cracks show fast. The roads are there, wide and winding, but empty. The world looks alive, yet feels oddly disconnected, like a film set after the cameras stopped rolling. There's little traffic, few pedestrians, and outside of missions, barely anything to discover. It's a big sandbox, with all the toys locked behind a confusing progression wall. Worse still, mission design is where the engine really starts to sputter. Objectives often contradict themselves, asking for clean, careful driving while demanding style points for chaotic, rubber-burning drifts. AI drivers swing between erratic and robotic, sometimes ignoring the laws of physics altogether. It's hard to know whether you're racing, role-playing, or just running in circles. That early excitement? It doesn't vanish, but it starts to ache, like a drift held too long, tires screeching, controls slipping. This world wants to move, but it doesn't quite know where to go. The story in JDM, Japanese Drift Master, kicks off with the weight of legacy pressing hard on the gas. You play as Thomas, soon to be known as Toma, an exiled European racer haunted by the death of his father and a racing ban that leaves him stranded. His only inheritance? A garage tucked away in Japan, and with it, the ghosts of a drifting past he never knew he had. It's a classic setup, drenched in emotional fuel. A lost son, a foreign land, a buried legend waiting to be rediscovered. But despite that compelling core, the storytelling feels off balance. Presented almost entirely through manga panels, the narrative has style, but lacks polish. The artwork is clean, the cars pop with detail, and expressions hit the right beats, sometimes. But the text often stumbles. Clunky dialogue, awkward grammar, and font sizes that swing wildly make it feel rushed, even amateurish in places. There's no voice acting, no cinematic cutscenes, just still frames and static bubbles. What's more frustrating is how tied the story is to progression. You can't simply ignore it because every mission flows directly from Toma's journey. Yet the missions themselves sometimes feel disconnected from the stakes, racing a rival only for the outcome to be shrugged off or being forced through bizarre objectives with zero payoff. There's potential here. Moments that hint at mystery, at underground legends and masked drivers. But it all feels buried under pacing issues and inconsistent execution. It's like watching a great anime with the subtitles mistranslated, close to greatness, but emotionally just out of reach. Underneath the flashy paint job, JDM. Japanese Drift Master builds its gameplay loop around a core of repetition, some of it rewarding, much of it frustratingly at odds with itself. The loop kicks off simply: take on main missions, attend driving, school, and slowly unlock new regions and race types. On paper, it sounds like a classic grind-to-glory setup. In practice, it's a strange tug-of-war between style and logic. Let's start with delivery missions. Yes, actual package deliveries. Sounds fun in a crazy taxi, arcade rush kind of way, right? Not here. In JDM, these missions demand that you both drift to earn style points and avoid any serious collisions to preserve your cargo's durability. That means you're rewarded for reckless flair and punished for the inevitable consequences of it at the same time. One solid hit? Say goodbye to over a third of your delivery's health. Even brushing traffic feels disproportionately brutal. Then there are underground races and timed challenges. These fare better, earning money through risk-reward runs, where shorter time limits bring higher payouts, but they lack variety. Locations. Change, sure, but there's a growing sense that you're doing the same thing over and over, just on a different stretch of asphalt. Exploration doesn't help much either. The world is big, but largely devoid of meaningful interaction. Fast travel is limited early on, and missions are often far apart, forcing long drives through empty roads and annoying traffic just to get back into the action. It's not that the loop is broken, it's that it never quite finds its rhythm. Like a drifting line that never fully connects the corner, always slightly off angle from what it could have been. At the heart of JDM, Japanese Drift Master, drifting isn't just a feature, it's the whole identity. And when it clicks, when you nail that perfect angle on a downhill curve with the night rain glistening beneath your tires, it's electric. There's a real sense of momentum, of carving your will into the road with nothing but balance, throttle, and nerve. It delivers flashes of that elusive initial D magic, where the car becomes an extension of your intent. But those moments are the exception, not the rule. The drift system is built around an angle meter, encouraging players to hold longer, more stylish drifts to rack up points. Yet, here's where the mechanics wobble. The game's physics feel inconsistent. Sometimes you can game the system by simply swerving back and forth, scoring big with little effort. Other times, the slightest overcorrection sends you spinning into chaos, especially after upgrading your car's acceleration or top speed, ironically making you worse at the thing the game rewards most. Handling also leans heavily toward understeer, and finding the sweet spot between grip and slide often feels like guesswork, not mastery. AI opponents are another sore point, swinging between overly perfect execution and full contact bumper cars, slamming into you mid-drift like they're trying to force you off a cliff. And then there are the collisions. Sometimes they rob your multiplier. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they launch you into a wall and let you Mario Kart slide along the edge. There's no consistency, and it chips away at the trust you need in a game built around tight control. At its best, the driving feels like art. At its worst, it's a physics puzzle that forgot to explain the rules. Progression in JDM. Japanese Drift Master isn't a clean road. It's more like a series of speed bumps hidden under a fog of grind. On the surface, there's a familiar loop. Earn money, gain reputation, unlock new cars and parts. But dig deeper, and you'll find that everything, from performance upgrades to cosmetic customizations, is shackled to a layered, often tedious system that feels more like a test of patience than skill. Want to slap a wide-body kit on your Nissan or fine-tune your suspension? Doesn't matter if you've got the cash, you need enough reputation first, and not just from completing races. You'll need to drift through empty streets just to grind your rep bar up slowly, inch by inch. Even cosmetic parts, arguably the soul of street racing culture, are locked behind car-level gates. The message is clear: no shortcuts, no style, without sweat. Performance-wise, the game is surprisingly decent, though far from perfect. On a mid-tier setup with DLSS enabled, it holds a solid 60 FPS at 1440p, but crank it to ultra during dynamic weather, like a thunderstorm, and the frame rate plummets. Still, the visual payoff is nice. Glistening cityscapes, wet pavement reflecting streetlights, and moody storm clouds that add real drama. The soundtrack helps too. While not exactly iconic, the rock and Eurobeat-infused tracks slot in nicely, with the drifting vibe, adding pulse and personality to your late-night runs. But when the gameplay stutters and the grind slows everything down, even the best track can't save the feeling that the game's holding back what should be a constant flow of speed and satisfaction. JDM. Japanese Drift Master is a game that constantly feels like it's chasing a dream in the rearview mirror, one it can almost touch, but never quite catch. It's not a bad game. In fact, it's so close to being something special that its shortcomings hit even harder. The concept is loaded with passion, a heartfelt homage to Japanese street racing infused with manga storytelling and an atmospheric open world that begs to be explored. But the execution? It drifts wide of the apex. From its clashing mission objectives to its undercooked physics and barren world design, the game struggles to find its footing. The driving can feel sublime, briefly, but is too often undone by inconsistent mechanics, and AI that either drives flawlessly or wrecks you out of spite. The grind-heavy progression system feels more like a wall than a ladder, locking creativity and customization behind tedious repetition. And yet, there's a beating heart here. You can feel the developer's love for the culture, the genre, and the style. It shows in the car models, the subtle skyline details, and that moment when your tires catch just right in a midnight drift. Right now, JDM isn't the drift king it wants to be, but with polish, balance, and a serious look at its core systems, it could become something more than just a stylish underdog. It could be a legend in the making. Until then, it's a ride best taken by die-hard drift fans with time and patience to spare.